Hey Void, what does it feel like to get shot?
So, what does it actually feel like to get shot? We've all seen the movies, right? The dramatic stagger, the sharp cry of pain, the hand flying to a blossoming red stain. It's a visual language we understand instantly. But here's the first, and perhaps most unsettling, piece of truth about that moment. Your brain, in its desperate attempt to protect you, begins by telling you a lie. The very first sensation isn't pain, it's shock. A profound, systemic shock. For many, it feels not like a cut or a stab, but like being hit extremely hard with a blunt object, a sledgehammer, a baseball bat. You feel a deep concussive times thump asterisk. There's often a startling immediate heat, like someone just injected boiling water into that part of your body. And then, very frequently, there's nothing. A numb, hollow vacancy. People have been shot and, in the adrenaline-charged silence of the moment, genuinely asked, "Was I shot?" Or even continued to run or fight, completely unaware of the catastrophic breach that just occurred. The nervous system is so overwhelmed, it simply short-circuits. It withholds the pain, as if buying you a few precious, confused seconds to process the sheer scale of the violation. But why would your brain hide something so critical from you? That impact, that feeling of a brutal punch, is your first clue to the second truth. A bullet is not a precision scalpel, it's a delivery system for a tiny, contained explosion. When a high-velocity round strikes flesh, it doesn't just drill a neat hole. It transfers a massive wave of kinetic energy, creating a temporary cavity, a bubble of violent pressure that can be many times the bullet's diameter. It stretches, tears, and bruises tissue far from the actual path, so the feeling isn't just along a line, it's a wave of destruction radiating outward. A shot to the thigh can feel like your entire leg was just crushed. Bones can shatter, not from being hit directly, but from the hydraulic shock travelling through the marrow. The sensation is one of deep, internal reverberation, a bell ringing inside you that you never knew was there. But that's not even the strangest part. From this point, the experience violently forks into one of two terrifying paths, and which one you're on is a lottery decided by millimeters. The first path is the surge of adrenaline. If the bullet misses your central nervous system, major arteries, or the dense cluster of nerves in your torso, and your body dumps enough adrenaline into your bloodstream, you might enter a state of hyperclarity. The pain remains distant, muted. You might feel capable, strong even. This is the walking wounded phenomenon, a cruel evolutionary trick that can let a person run on a broken leg or fight with a pierced lung. It feels like a potent, buzzing focus, but it's a chemical lie masking catastrophic damage. The second path is systemic collapse. If that bullet severs your spinal cord, tears through a major artery like the aorta, or causes massive internal bleeding in your abdomen, the feeling is the exact opposite. It's not a surge, but a draining. A sudden, profound coldness, as if your blood warmth is simply rushing out into the universe. An overwhelming dizziness, a dimming of sight and sound, a weakness so total it feels like your muscles have turned to water. The world doesn't go black dramatically. It just loses its resolution, fades to a muffled grey, and the pull of the ground becomes irresistible. This is the feeling of your body's central story shutting down, page by page. And this brings us to the most brutal truth of all the aftermath, where the real feeling begins. Because that initial shock, that numb confusion or chemical surge wears off. It wears off in the back of the ambulance, or on the gurney in the ER, or in the stark brightness of an operating room. And when it does, the pain arrives. It is not a sharp pain, it's a deep, saturating, elemental burn. It feels like the core of your being in that region has been replaced with molten lead and broken glass. It's a pain with weight and presence, an uninvited entity that now shares your body. It dominates every thought, drowns out every other sense. This is the pain of inflammation, of traumatized nerves screaming in unison, of tissues realizing they are destroyed. And if you survive, the feeling evolves, but it never really leaves. There's the phantom itch deep in muscle tissue that you can never scratch. The deep stormfront ache in the scar when the weather changes. The strange metallic memory in your bones. But more haunting than any physical echo is the psychological one, the way a car backfiring can make your entire body flinch, a visceral reenactment of that concussive times thump asterisk. The way your dreams might replay the moment, not in visuals, but in that exact singular sensation of impact, over and over. So, what does it feel like to get shot? It feels like a deception. It feels like a localized earthquake. It feels like your own chemistry betraying you with false strength or announcing your end with sudden cold. And long after, it feels like a permanent before and after line drawn through the story of your body. A sensory memorial to the day physics and biology had a violent argument, and you were the room it happened in.